Come and knock on our door.
Come and knock on our door.
We've been waiting for you.
We've been waiting for you.
For 8 seasons, audiences did exactly that, turning Three's Company into the biggest comedy phenomenon of the late 1970s. Jack Tripper's physical comedy, Janet Wood's voice of reason, and Chrissy Snow's bubbly innocence made the Santa Monica apartment feel like the place to be. But behind the scenes lay a history filled with contract disputes, casting changes, feuds, and a wardrobe mishap that stayed on the air for nearly 20 years. Welcome to Sitcom Secrets, where every rewatch reveals something new. Let's get into it. Fact number 10, the British origin. If you think the core concept of Three's Company was a stroke of American sitcom genius, you're only looking at half the picture. The premise of a single man pretending to be gay to live with 2 female roommates was imported directly from the United Kingdom. The series was a direct remake of the British smash hit Man About the House, which ran on ITV in the mid-70s. This translation was handled by writers Don Nichol, Michael Ross and Bernie West, who also adapted the spin-offs. Indeed, The Ropers was based on George and Mildred, while Three's a Crowd came from Robin's Nest. This pattern of borrowing scripts wasn't new, as TV executives had already seen massive success doing the same with All in the Family. Before John Ritter became a household name as Jack Tripper, he was a working actor trying to match the energy of Richard O'Sullivan, the Uke's original lead. It is ironic that this quintessential American comedy was a recycled British blueprint. The producers simply swapped London flats for sunny California beaches, proving that physical comedy is a universal language. Fact number 9, the 3 pilots. Most fans believe the roommate chemistry was instant, but the show actually went through a painful trial, an error process that saw multiple actors fired before the premiere. Before ABC approved the version we know today, producers filmed 3 different pilots. The first, written by Larry Gelbart, starred John Ritter as David Bell, an aspiring filmmaker, alongside Valerie Curtin as Jenny and Suzanne Somers as Samantha. When that chemistry failed, a second pilot was shot, introducing Joyce DeWitt as Janet Wood and renaming Ritter's character Jack Tripp, a cooking student. However, Chrissy was played by Susan Lanier, whom executives quickly rejected. A third pilot was shot after network chief Fred Silverman spotted Suzanne Somers on The Tonight Show and cast her just 1 day before production began. It is fascinating how close the show came to having a different name and cast. This chaotic start is a reminder that TV magic is often the result of ruthless executive decisions and last-minute miracles. Fact number 8, the theme song singer mix-up. You probably assume the famous vocals on the show's iconic theme song were performed by the legendary soul artist Ray Charles, but the truth is a case of musical mistaken identity. The opening theme, Come and Knock on Our Door, was written by Joe Raposo, who also composed the theme for Sesame Street. The vocals were performed by Julia Rinker and a singer named Ray Charles. However, this was not the blind Ara and Bicon who sang Georgia on My Mind. Instead, this Ray Charles was a white choral director who led the Ray Charles Singers, a group famous for backing Perry Como on his TV show. The coincidence caused decades of confusion. Speaking of contracts, keep that in mind, because at number 5, we'll reveal how a contract guarantee backfired on 2 original stars, costing their jobs. This vocal track mix-up is a perfect metaphor for the series' love of misunderstandings. It is a hilarious real-life confusion that mirrors the exact type of sitcom mix-up Jack Tripper had to navigate in every single episode. Fact number 7, the brunette on the bike. When you watch Jack Tripper lose control of his bicycle after staring at a beautiful brunette in the opening credits, you're actually watching him gawk at someone already on the payroll. The opening credits are famous for showing the roommates in Santa Monica, but the shot of Jack crashing his bike is the most iconic. The brunette who catches his eye was not a hired extra, but Suzanne Somers wearing a dark wig. Operating on a tight budget during the first season, the production did not want to pay for another actress for a 5-second gag. Producers instructed wardrobe to find a wig that made Somers unrecognizable, aiming to create the illusion of a random stranger on the beach. John Ritter later joked that anyone who looked closely could tell it was Somers by her distinct walk. Using their star actress as a random crush shows how scrappy the production was in its infancy. It is a delightful piece of visual trickery that shows how far they went to save $1 while building an iconic intro. Fact number 6, Don Knotts' stage fright. We tend to think of legendary comedy veterans as fearless, but joining the cast of Three's Company actually terrified one of television's most decorated stars. Don Knotts, who won 5 Emmys playing Barney Fife on The Andy Griffith Show, joined in Season 4 as landlord Ralph Furley. Despite his massive experience, Knotts was extremely nervous about stepping onto this set. Unlike his previous single-camera show, Three's Company was taped live before a studio audience using a fast-paced 3-camera system. Knotts was terrified of performing live and worried he would freeze up or forget his lines. which actually happened during his first taping when his mind went blank. His fears vanished when he walked out for his first scene, and the live audience gave him a standing ovation that lasted for several minutes, bringing him to tears. It is touching that a comedy giant who built his career playing nervous characters was actually experiencing genuine stage fright. The audience's immediate love proved that his genius was timeless, regardless of the format. We're halfway through, and the secrets are only getting bigger. If you're enjoying this, hit that like button and comment with your favorite roommate Janet, Chrissy, or Terry. Now let's get back to the countdown. Fact number 5, the Roper's contract guarantee loophole. While spin-offs are usually a sign of success, the departure of the show's original landlords was actually a tragic exit engineered by a sneaky contract loophole. Norman Fell and Audra Lindley, who played squabbling landlords Stanley and Helen Roper, were offered their own spin-off, The Ropers, in 1979. Fell was reluctant to leave, fearing failure. To ease his mind, producers contractually guaranteed that if the spin-off failed in its first year, they could return to Three's company. The Ropers struggled, but ABC delayed its cancellation announcement until just after the 1-year mark. This allowed the clause to expire, freeing the network from bringing them back. Don Knotts was hired instead. If you think that was harsh, wait until number 3, where we show the extreme lengths the studio went to physically isolate one of their stars on set. This corporate maneuvering was a bittersweet end for a beloved comedic duo. It remains a reminder that in television, contract language is often used as a weapon rather than a shield. Fact number 4, Priscilla Barnes' worst years of her life. For many actors, landing a starring role on a top-rated sitcom is the ultimate dream. But for one roommate, it turned out to be a professional nightmare. She desperately tried to escape. After Suzanne Somers was fired, producers eventually cast Priscilla Barnes as Terry Alden, a nurse who became the new roommate. Before she went on to play Della Churchill in the James Bond film License to Kill, Barnes found herself in a toxic environment. She hated her time on the show, calling her 3 seasons the worst years of her career. Barnes described the set as poisonous due to controlling producers who criticized her appearance, arguing whether her hair was too blonde or not blonde enough to avoid similarities to Somers. She was so miserable she asked out of her contract, but they refused. She remained professional and built a lifelong friendship with Joyce DeWitt. It is tragic that a show projecting sunny, carefree fun on screen was a place of misery backstage. Barnes' ability to deliver high-energy comedy under such conditions is a testament to her sheer professionalism. Fact number 3, the set isolation and phone call scenes. It's easy to assume that Chrissy Snow's phone conversations in Season 5 were just a creative way to keep her in the script, but they were actually the result of a hostile isolation campaign. In Season 5, Suzanne Somers demanded her salary be raised from $30,000 to $150,000 to match John Ritter. The network refused and cut her from main storylines. Since she had to appear, producers built a tiny side set backstage with just a chair, lamp, and telephone. Somers was escorted by security to film her phone calls alone without an audience. Co-stars John Ritter and Joyce DeWitt were so angry they refused to speak to her. While filming via phone is bizarre, it has nothing on our number 1 spot, which involves a secret that stayed hidden for 20 years before a viewer's sharp eye caused a network to edit a classic episode. It is tragic to watch these episodes now, knowing Chrissy's bubbly chats were filmed in complete isolation. The physical separation was a sad end to Somers' run, before she moved on to her signature role in Step by Step. Fact number 2, the 30-year silence and reunion. While the on-screen roommates looked like the best of friends, the moment the cameras stopped, the relationship between 2 of the lead actresses collapsed into a silence that lasted for decades. The fallout from Suzanne Somers' salary dispute and firing in 1981 completely fractured her friendship with Joyce DeWitt. DeWitt and John Ritter, who went on to voice the beloved Clifford the Big Red Dog, felt that Somers' salary demands and strike threatened the entire show's security, leading to deep resentment. Following Somers' exit, the actresses did not speak for 30 years. The silence ended in February 2012, when DeWitt appeared on Somers' web series, Breaking Through. During the emotional reunion, they addressed the conflict, reminisced about Ritter, and Somers apologized for the tension. DeWitt described the talk as pretty wonderful, ending one of TV's longest feuds. This decades-long estrangement shows how easily the business side of Hollywood can wound personal bonds. Seeing them reconcile was a beautiful moment that offered long overdue closure for both actresses. Fact number 1, John Ritter's wardrobe malfunction. You might think you've seen every frame of John Ritter's legendary physical comedy, but a wardrobe malfunction in a late season episode actually slipped past the censors and stayed on the air for 18 years. In the Season 8 episode The Charming Stranger, Jack Tripper sits on his bed wearing light blue boxer shorts. Because of the loose fit, a portion of Ritter's testicle was briefly visible. This malfunction went unnoticed by directors, editors, and network censors during its 1983 broadcast and syndication. In 2001, during a Nick at Night rerun, a viewer spotted the slip and alerted the network. Nick at Night edited the scene to crop out the exposure. Ritter, who starred in the film Problem Child, joked about the slip, asking that both versions be aired because sometimes you feel like a nut, and sometimes you don't. It is hilarious that a show built on suggestive humor and double entendres accidentally broadcast the most explicit moment in its history. The slip remaining hidden for nearly 2 decades shows how fast syndication tapes were shipped without close inspection. Despite the backstage drama, Three's Company remains a high watermark of physical comedy. The show's ability to turn simple misunderstandings into comedic gold has secured its legacy in rerun heaven. John Ritter's physical genius created a rare chemistry that modern sitcoms struggle to replicate. You've made it through the countdown, and for that you've earned the title of ultimate Three's Company fan. If you love these sitcom secrets, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Now, tell us, was the show better with Chrissy, Cindy, or Terry? Share your thoughts below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more sitcom secrets.